Hello, Shalom. Welcome to day 37 of the Daily Bread. We'll be reading in Genesis 47, Judges 19, Psalms 47, Proverbs 6, and Mark 6. Then Joseph went and spoke to Pharaoh and said, my father and my brothers, their flocks and their herds, and all they possess, have come from the land of Canaan. And see, they are in the land of Goshen. And he took 5 men from among his brothers and presented them to Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to his brothers, "What is your occupation?" And they said to Pharaoh, "Your servants are shepherds, both we and also our fathers." And they said to Pharaoh, "We have come to dwell in the land, because there is no pasture for your servants' flocks, for the scarcity of food is severe in the land of Canaan, or Canaan. And now, please, let your servants sojourn in the land of Goshen." And Pharaoh spoke to Joseph, saying, "Your father and your brothers have come to you. The land of Mizraim is before you. Settle your father and your brothers in the best of the land. Let them dwell in the land of Goshen. And if you know of capable men among them, then make them the chief herdsmen over my livestock." And Joseph brought in his father, Jacob, and set him before Pharaoh. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Jacob, "How old are you?" And Jacob said to Pharaoh, "The days of my years of my sojourns are 130 years. Few and evil days have been the days of my life, and they have not reached the days of the years of my life, of my fathers in the days of their sojourns." And Jacob blessed Pharaoh and went out from before Pharaoh. So Joseph settled his father and his brothers and gave them a possession in the land of Mizraim, in the best of the land, in the land of Ramses, of Pharaoh, as Pharaoh had commanded. And Joseph provided his father and his brothers and all his father's household with bread for the mouth of the little ones. Now there was no bread in all the land, because the scarcity of food was very severe, and the land of Mizraim and the land of Canaan became exhausted from the scarcity of food. And Joseph gathered up all the silver that was found in the land of Mizraim and in the land of Canaan, for the grain which they had bought. And Joseph brought the silver into Pharaoh's house. And when the silver was all spent in the land of Mizraim and in the land of Canaan, all the Mizraims came to Joseph and said, "Give us bread, for why should we die in your presence? For the silver is gone." And Joseph said, "Give your livestock, and I give you bread for your livestock, if the silver is gone." So they brought their livestock to Joseph, and Joseph gave them bread in exchange for the horses, for the flocks they owned, and for the herds they owned, and for the donkeys. Thus he fed them with bread in exchange for all their livestock that year. And when that year had ended, they came to him the next year and said to him, "We do not hide from my master that our silver is spent, and my master also has the livestock we owned. There has not been left any before my master, but our bodies and our lands. Why should we die before your eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for bread, and let us and our land be servants of Pharaoh. And give us seed, and let us not die, and let the land not lie in waste." And Joseph bought the entire land of Mizraim for Pharaoh, because every man of the Mizraim sold his field, because the scarcity of food was severe upon them. And the land came to be Pharaoh's. And as the people and as for the people, he moved them into cities, from one end of the borders of Mizraim to the other. Only the ground of the priest he did not buy, for the priests had from Pharaoh gave them by law, had what from Pharaoh by what he gave them by law, and they ate that which Pharaoh gave them by law. Therefore they did not sell their ground. And Joseph said to the people, Look, I have bought you and your land today for Pharaoh. Look, there is seed for you, and you shall sow the land. And it shall be that in the harvest you shall give 1/5 to Pharaoh, and 4/5 is your own, as seed for the field, and for your food, for those of your household, and as food for your little ones. And they said, You have saved our lives. Let us find favor in the eyes of my master, and we shall become Pharaoh's servants. And Joseph made it a law over the land of Mizraim to this day that Pharaoh should have 1/5, except for the ground of the priests only, which had not become Pharaoh's. And Israel dwelt in the land of Mizraim, in the land of Goshen, that they had possessed there, and they were fruitful and increased exceedingly. And Jacob lived in the land of Mizraim 17 years. So the length of Jacob's life was 147 years. And the time of Israel to die drew near. And he called his son Joseph and said to him, Now, if I have found favor in your eyes, please put your hand under my thigh and show loving commitment and trust to me. Please do not bury me in Mizraim, but I shall lie with my fathers, and you shall take me up out of Mizraim and bury me in the burial place. And he said, I do as you have said. And he said, Swear to me. And he swore to him. And Israel bowed himself to the head of the bed. End of Genesis 47. Judges 19. And it came to be, on page 275, and it came to be in those days, when there was no sovereign in Israel, that there was a certain Levite sojourning on the further side of the mountain of Ephraim, and he took for himself a concubine from Bethlehem in Judah. And his concubine committed whoring against him, and went away from him to her father's house at Bethlehem in Judah. And there were 4 new moons of the days. And her husband arose and went after her to speak to her heart and bring her back, having his servant and a couple of donkeys with him. And she brought him into her father's house. And the father of the young woman saw him, and he was glad to meet him. And his father-in-law, the young woman's father, took hold of him and dwelt with him 3 days. And they ate and drank and spent the night there. And it came to be on the 4th day that they arose early in the morning, and he prepared to leave. But the young woman's father said to his son-in-law, Refresh your heart with a piece of bread, and afterwards go your way. So they sat down, and the 2 of them ate and drank together. And the young woman's father said to the man, Please agree to stay all night, and let your heart be glad. When the man arose to go, his father-in-law urged him. So he spent the night there again. And he rose early the next morning, on the 5th day. But the young woman's father said, Please refresh your heart. So they delayed until afternoon, and both of them ate. And the man arose to go, and he ate, and his concubine and his servant. But the young woman's father said to him, See, the day is now drawing toward evening. Please spend the night. See, the day is coming to an end. Stay here, let your heart be glad, and you shall rise early tomorrow for the journey, and you shall go to your tent. But the man would not stay that night, and he arose and left, and came to a place opposite Jebus, that is Jerusalem. And with him were 2 saddled donkeys, and his concubines with him. They were near Jebus, and the day was far spent. And the servant said to his master, "Come, please, let us turn aside into the city of the Uzbites, and spend the night in it." And his master said to him, "Let us not turn aside here and go into a city of foreigners, who are not the children of Israel, but we shall pass over to Gibeon." And he said to his servant, "Come, let us draw near to one of these places, and spend the night in Gibeon or in Rahamam." And they passed over and went their way. And the sun went down on them near Gibeon, which belongs to Benjamin. And they turned off there to go in to spend the night in Gibeon. So he went in, and he sat down in the open square of the city, for no one would take them into his house to spend the night. But see, an old man came in from work in the field that evening, who also was from the mountains of Ephraim. And he was sojourning in Gibeon, where the men of the place were Benjamites. And when he lifted up his eyes, he saw the traveler in the open square of the city. And the old man said, "Where are you going, and where do you come from?" And he said to him, "We are passing over from Bethlehem in Judah to the other side of the mountain of Ephraim. I am from there, and went to Bethlehem in Judah, and I'm going to the house of Yahweh. But there is no one taking me into his house. Yet there is both straw and fodder for our donkeys, and bread and wine for myself, and your female servant, and the young man who is with your servant. There is no lack of any matter." And the old man said, "Peace be with you. However, let all your needs be on me. Only do not spend the night in the open square." And he brought him into his house, and gave fodder to the donkeys, and they washed their feet, and they ate and drank. They were making their hearts glad, and see, men of the city, sons of Belial, surrounded the house, beating on the door. And they spoke to the master of the house, the old man, saying, "Bring out the man who came to your house, so that we know him." But the master of the house, went out to them and said, "No, my brothers, I beg you, do no evil. Since this man has come into my house, do not do this folly. Look, here is my maiden daughter and the man's concubine. Let me bring them out now, and humble them, and do to them what is good in your eyes. But do not do such foolish matters to this man." But the men would not listen to him. So they took the man. The man took hold of his concubine and brought her out to him. And they knew her, and rolled themselves on her all night until morning, and let her go when the day began to break. And as morning appeared, the woman came back and fell down at the door of the man's house where her master was, till it was light. And her master rose in the morning, and opened the doors of the house, and went out to go his way, and saw his concubine fallen at the door of the house, with her hands on the threshold. And he said to her, "Rise up, and let us go." But there was no answer. Then he took her on the donkey, and the man rose and went to his place, and came into his house, and took a knife. Then took hold of his concubine, and cut her up limb by limb into 12 pieces, and sent her throughout all the borders of Israel. And it came to be that all who saw it said, "There has never been, and there and there has not been seen like from this, from the day of the children of Israel came up out of the land of Mizraim until this day. Set your heart on it, take counsel, and speak up. Hard chapter to read through. Psalms 47, page 672. Oh, clap your hands, all you peoples. Shout for joy with voice of singing. For Yahweh Most High is awesome, a great sovereign over all the earth. He subdues people under it, and nations under our feet. He chooses our inheritance for us, the excellence of Jacob, whom he loves, Salah. Elohim shall go up with a shout, Yahweh with a voice of a shofar. Sing praises to Elohim, sing praises to our sovereign, sing praises. For Elohim is the sovereign of all the earth. Sing praises with understanding. Elohim shall reign over the nations. Elohim shall sit on his set-apart throne. Nobles of people shall be gathered together, the people of the Elohim of Abraham. For the shields of the earth belong to Elohim. He shall be greatly exalted. Proverbs 6. Page 734. My son, if you have become a guarantor for your friend, have shaken hands in a pledge for a stranger, have been snarled by the words of your own mouth, have been caught by the words of your mouth, do this at once, my son, and deliver yourself, for you have become into the hand of your friend. Go, humble yourself and urge your friend. Give no sleep to your eyes, nor slumber to your eyelids. Deliver yourself like a gazelle from the hunter's hand, and like a bird from the hand of the trapper. Go to the ant, you lazy one. See her ways and be wise, which having no commander, overseer, or ruler, provides her supplies in the summer, gathers her food in the harvest. How long would you lie down, O lazy one? When do you arise from your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to lie down? And your poverty shall come like a prowler, and your need as armed men. A man of Belial, a wicked man, walks with a perverse mouth, winks with his eyes, shuffles his feet, points with his fingers. Perverseness is in his heart, plotting evil at all times. He sends out strife, therefore calamity comes suddenly. Instantly he is broken, and there is no healing. These 6 matters Yahweh hates, and 7 are an abomination to him: a proud look, a lying tongue, the hands shedding innocent blood, a heart devising wicked schemes, feet quick to run to evil, a false witness breathing out lies, and one who causes strife among brothers. My son, watch over your father's command, and do not forsake the Torah of your mother. Bind them on your heart always, tie them around your neck. When you are walking about, it leads you. When you lie down, it guards you. And when you have woken up, it talks to you. For the command is a lamp, and the Torah is a light, and reproofs of discipline, a way of life, to guard you against an evil woman, from the flattering words, from the flattering tongue of a strange woman. Do not desire her prettiness in your heart, neither let her captivate you with her eyelids. For because of a whore one is brought to a crust of bread, and an adulteress hunts a precious life. Would a man take fire to his bosom and his garments not be burned? Would a man walk on hot coals and his feet not be scorched? So is he who goes into his neighbor's wife. No one who touches her goes unpunished. They do not despise a thief, if he steals to satisfy his appetite when he is starving. Yet if he is caught, he repays 7-fold. He gives all the wealth of his house. He who commits adultery with a woman lacks heart. He who does it destroys his own life. He finds smiting and shame, and his reproach is not wiped away. For jealousy enrages a man, and he does not spare in a day of vengeance. He does not guard any ransom, nor accept your bribe, however great. Mark chapter 6, page 963. And we went away from there, and he went away from there, Yeshua, and he came to his own country, and his taught ones followed him. And Shabbat having come, he began to teach in the congregation. And many who heard him were astonished, saying, "Where did he get all this? And what wisdom is this which is given to him, that such miracles are done through his hands? Is this not the son is this not the carpenter, the son of Mary, the brother of Jacob and Joseph and Judah and Shimon? And are not his sisters here with us?" And they stumbled in him. And Yeshua said to them, "A prophet is not appreciated except." Let me repeat. And Yeshua said to them, "A prophet is not unappreciated except in his own country and among his own relatives and his own house." And he was unable to do any miracles there, except that he laid his hands on a few sick ones and healed them. And he marveled because of their unbelief. And he was going around among the villages teaching. And he called the 12 near, and began to send them out 2 by 2, and gave them authority over unclean spirits. And he instructed them to take none at all for their journey, except a staff, no bag, no bread, no copper in their money belts, but to wear sandals, and not to wear 2 undergarments. And he said to them, "Wherever you enter into a house, stay there until you leave the place. And any place that does not receive you, nor listen to you, when you leave there, shake off the dust under your feet as a witness against them. Truly I say to you, it shall be more bearable for Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city." And they went out and proclaimed that men should repent. And they were casting out many demons, and they were anointing with oil many who were sick, and they were healing them. And the sovereign Herod heard for his name had become well known. And he said, John the Baptist, has been raised from the dead, and because of this, these powers are at work in him. Others said, he is Elijah, and others said, he is a prophet, like one of the prophets. But when Herod heard, he said, "This one is John, whom I beheaded. He has been raised from the dead." For Herod himself had sent and seized John and bound him in prison because Herodias, his brother Philip's wife, because he had married her. And John had said to Herod, "It is not right for you to have your brother's wife." So Herod held a grudge against him and wished to kill him, but was unable. For Herod feared John, knowing that he was righteous and set apart man, and he was protected. And when he heard him, and he was much perplexed, yet heard him gladly. And a suitable day came when Herod, on his birthday, gave a feast, and for his great men, and for the high officers and the chief men of Galilee. And when the daughter of Herod herself came in, danced, and pleased him, and those who sat with him, the sovereign said to the girl, "Ask me whatever you wish, I shall give it to you." And he swore to her, "Whatever you ask, I shall give you, up to half of my reign." And she went out and said to her mother, "What should I ask?" And she said, "The head of John the Immerser." And coming in immediately with haste to the sovereign, she asked, saying, I wish that you give me at once the head of John the Immerser on a dish. And the sovereign, becoming deeply grieved because of the oaths and because of those who sat with him, did not wish to refuse her. And the sovereign straightway sent an executioner and commanded his head to be brought. And he went and beheaded him in the prison, and brought his head on a dish, and gave it to the girl. The girl gave it to her mother. When his taught ones heard of it, they came and took away his dead body and laid it in a tomb. And the emissaries gathered to Yeshua and reported to him all, both what they had done and what they had been taught. And he said to them, Come aside by yourselves to the lonely place and rest a little. For there were many coming and going, and they did not even have time to eat. And they went away to a lonely place in a boat by themselves. But they saw them going, and many recognized him, and ran there on foot from all the cities, and came before them, and came together to him. And having gone out, Yeshua saw a large crowd, and was moved with compassion for them, because they were like sheep, not having a shepherd. And he began to teach them these matters. And as the hour grew late, his taught ones came to him, and said, This is a lonely place, and the hour is late. Send them away so that they go into the surrounding country and villages and buy themselves bread, since they have no food to eat. But he answering said to them, You give them to eat. And they said to him, Should we go and buy 200 denarii worth of bread and give them to eat? Then he said to them, How many loaves do you have? Go and see. And when they found out, they said, 5 and 2 fishes. And he ordered them to make them all sit down in groups on the green grass. And they sat down in groups, in hundreds and in fifties. And having the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, looking up to the heaven, he blessed and broke the loaves and gave them to his taught ones to set before them, and the 2 fishes. He divided them among them. And all ate and were satisfied. And they picked up 12 baskets filled with pieces from their fishes. Now, those who ate the loaves were about 5,000 men. And immediately he made his taught ones enter into the boat and go before him to the other side of Bethsaida, while he was dismissing the crowd. And having sent them away, he went away to the mountain to pray. And when evening came, the boat was in the middle of the sea, and he was alone on the land. And seeing them straining at rowing, for the wind was against them, at about the 4th watch of the night, he came to them, walking on the sea, and he wished to pass them by. And when they saw him walking on the sea, they thought it was a phantom, and cried out, for they all saw him, and were troubled. And immediately he spoke to them, and said, Take courage, it is I, do not be afraid. And he went up to them into the boat, and the wind ceased, and they were exceedingly amazed in themselves, and marveled. For they did not understand about the loaves, because their heart was hardened. And having passed over, they came to the land of Gennesaret, and drew to shore. And when they came out of the boat, he was immediately recognized. And all that neighborhood ran about and began to carry about on beds those who were sick, to whoever they heard he was. And wherever he went, into villages or cities or the country, they were lying in the sick in the marketplaces and begging him to touch, if only the tzitzit of his garment. and as many as touched him were healed. Shalom. Make it a great day. Read your Bible and talk to the Father.